Hello everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm very happy that you're here, and we are happy that you are here for this workshop that Sara will present on how to build habits, but of course from a neuroscience perspective. She has training in biomedical engineering, and she is specialized in neurosciences. She's been doing research for 10 years at the Faculty of Medicine for the University of Coimbra in Portugal, and she's been doing projects on very different subjects like trustworthiness, eating disorders, and autism, psychopathy, so really a wide range of subjects. And she's also been involved with science communication for the general public and even teaching kids in different science clubs. So she has a good way of explaining to all of us in simple ways all of her knowledge regarding building habits. So before we start, I would just like to mention that we will have food after, so feel free to stay, and if you enjoy it and if you enjoy the workshop, we also accept some donations. This center is a non-profit, so you have the IBAN there, you can take a picture of it. And at the entrance you will also see some cards, you can get one, and on the back you have a link to our website, to our Instagram, and also a way to subscribe to our newsletters if you want to know about other events. And of course, for those who are here, feel free to take a voucher for 15% off for a massage, which we will start giving in the second week of June. So starting from the 9th of June, you can come here and enjoy a massage. So without further ado, thank you again, and Sara, please come.
Okay, good morning everyone. Okay, have you ever made a New Year's resolution? Can I see your hand?
Yes.
Okay. Has anyone here not made a New Year's resolution? Okay. Okay. Second question. If yes, then what was your resolution?
Exercise.
Exercise. Okay. Working out. Drink more water. Yes. Better habits. That's too broad. Exercise. Okay. Sleep. Enough sleep. Okay. Third question. Did you accomplish what you resolved in the beginning of the year? Did you by the end of... Do you have any idea where New Year's resolutions come from? No? Okay. So, America? No? But I went to look a little bit, and they actually are dated from Egyptian times and then Romans. They used to make promises to their gods, especially Romans, especially the god Janus, that's where the word January comes from. And what they would decide was, if I have borrowed something from Anna and I still have it, I will give it back. I will do a general cleaning in my house. If I have stolen something from someone, I will give it back. So they had this idea, there are certain things in my life that I see that are not as they should. So from this moment on, I decided to make a change. And as you mentioned, most of the habits or New Year's resolutions that we make are we want to eat more healthy, we want to start drinking more water, doing more exercise, and they are usually related to health, because we know, in theory, that we need to make better options and actions if we want to be healthier. But there are some statistics that show us, do you have an idea after how many people actually accomplish their resolutions in the end of the year? No, not zero. Around 7. Around 7% of people are actually able to accomplish their goals that they set in the beginning of the year. And do you know how long usually people take until they give up?
1 week. 3 months.
For those that decide to exercise more, when you go to the gym in the beginning of the year, how does it look like? Crowded, it's fully packed. After how long do you start seeing more empty spaces? Actually, most of the people around 1 to 2 weeks, they are already out of track. So 1 to 2 weeks. So we still we try something, but we actually, most of us, and I include myself in that, we end up going down the track and we don't accomplish it. So I would like also to ask you, what is a habit? Because we see that those that were able to stick to their resolutions was because they were able to create long-lasting habits. So what is a habit?
Something that is repeated.
Something that is repeated, okay. Very good.
It becomes almost a natural thing.
Okay, it becomes almost a natural thing, something that we do almost in autopilot, right? So here we have a definition, and it says that a habit is a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. So it's something that we do consistently, and when we try not to do that, it's actually difficult because we don't even think we are already doing the thing, if we want to say so. Now, where do you think that our habits are created? I don't know if you have ever looked into where habits are created, and there are in particular two structures that are important in this process. One is what we call the basal ganglia. Have you ever heard of dopamine?
Yes.
Like now everyone, no, we need to make a dopamine detox because we just... And we will see an experiment where dopamine was suppressed, and we will see how it went. So this is where we have the release of dopamine. When we do something that we enjoy doing, like I ate an ice cream, it was really good. What will happen is that we will have some neurotransmitters that will be released there, especially dopamine, and this will tell my brain, oh, it was really good, you should do that again. And the opposite is also true. When I do something and then I don't like the outcome, this will tell my brain, don't do that again, we didn't enjoy that. The issue is that, as we have seen, this part works a lot related with reward, motivation, and forming habits and behaviors. But this is also very linked to emotions, which means that when I don't feel like doing something, if this is the part that is more activated, I just won't do the thing. And that's the issue that usually happens, is that we don't feel motivated, we don't exercise, we don't drink the water. But in order to break that bad pattern, what we actually want is to activate more what is called a specific part of our frontal lobe, that is the prefrontal cortex. Because this is the part that is involved in decision making, in reason. It helps us to control our impulses. I enjoy hiking a lot. And for all the times that we went hiking here, in Belgium, we went online, we found some trails, and we went to trails that already existed. How do you think that is a hike on a path that is already created, that you have all the signs, you know how long it lasts, what is the inclination? Is it hard or difficult? It's clean, it's unobstructed. It's easy, okay. You can have different levels of intensity, okay, but you know what to expect. But now imagine that I want to explore a new forest that you have here that no one ever went to. If I want to go there and to achieve a certain point, do you think that this will be harder or easier than the one that is already marked? It's much harder because probably we will have trees on the way, we will have vegetation, we will need to clean a bit. And it's exactly the same thing with our brain. When we are used to do something, the connection between the neurons, they actually don't touch each other, okay? They just release substances that the other one will reuptake. The connections between them is strengthened. So it's much easier. I see the food and then I'm like, oh, good, I'm going to eat. This is going to feel good. Because there is already this connection between the action and the feeling. But when you're trying something new, it's like going to this forest where we are trying to cut down the tree and clean the vegetation. It's exactly the same thing. And what will make the difference is actually the number of times that you will do it. Because the more you walk on it, if I go there every single day, what will happen to that inexistent path? It will start to be cleared out, so it will be easier. And it's exactly the same with our brains. There is this book that I enjoy a lot that is called Mind, Character and Personality, and this author says that repeated acts in a given course become habits. These may be modified by severe training in afterlife, but they are seldom changed. And what is the issue here? Then we cannot create new habits. No, we just need to be aware that once we stop going down this new path, then it will become harder. And if I want this one, if I don't want to do this thing again, then I should also avoid the environments where I know that it will be harder. For example, people that have addiction to alcohol, what do they say in their meetings in the beginning? I am alcoholic for I don't know how many years. They have not, and I haven't drunk for I don't know how long. But they know that if they are going to place themselves in a position where it will be harder for them to resist, it's very likely that they will go down that path again. And this is because our brain cannot unsee something that it has seen. Once a habit is formed, you will always have that path over there. But you just need to make sure that you place yourself in a position where it's easier for you to resist it. And we will see how we can do that. Now we have what is called a habit loop, and there are several ways to approach habits, and there are several books that address this. You have Tiny Habits, The Power of Habit, and the framework that I will be presenting is from this book, Atomic Habits, which is very simple and easy to read. And the framework that the author here explains is based on 4 different aspects of a habit loop. The first one is a cue. A cue. You see something, you saw food. The second one is craving. Okay, I saw the food, I have the desire to do what? To eat. Okay, it's obvious. I see it, I want it, I start desiring it. The third one is response. What will I do then? What will be my response? I will grab the food and I will eat it. And then the fourth one is reward. After eating, how will I feel? Hopefully good if the food was good, right? And this is the example of a poor habit. So you experience stimulus, like you are bored, you're doing something, you want to do something different, you feel the craving, you're like, I need a break. Then what is the response? For some of us, it may be we just grab our phones and scroll and go through social media. And then we have the reward. Okay, I was distracted, I was not thinking about work or this situation. And this is the habit loop that we can have actually both for bad habits, like we have seen here, but we can also have it for good habits. The idea of this book that I like very much is that all big things come from small beginnings. It's based on the premise that you should aim, and I like this a lot. For those of you who know how perfectionism works, it's terrible. You want to do and have everything perfect, and if you wait until you have all the perfect conditions, what will happen? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So the idea in this book is that you should aim to be 1% better each day. And I'm comfortable with that, because I can be 1% better. And it's so easy. And we will see that this is the framework that actually works in our brains if we want a long-lasting change. Because usually what happens, I want to start exercising. I go to the gym, I work out a lot, then I'm too tired, I don't have the time, and then I'm like, I don't see the progress that I wanted, and then I give up. But if I decide to do something very, very small, but consistently, then our brains start to change and they start to be rewired. And here we come to a difference between goals and systems that I don't know if you have ever thought. And I like this idea because the author says that you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And here the difference is a goal, usually our purpose is about achieving a result. I want to lose weight. If I exercise for a week but then I don't lose weight, I didn't reach my goal. But if you are focused on your system instead and your mindset is, okay, I want to be healthier, what do I need to do to be healthier? I will try to do something very small every day. If I'm focused on the system, then I will reach the goal. It's not like goals are bad, they are good to set the direction, but what we actually need to do is to have better systems. There was a study that was done in 1898 by a psychologist named Edward Thorndike, and what they did was that they placed the cat inside a box, and inside the box there was a lever. And whenever they were there trying to find a way to escape because they were closed, when they would find the lever and press it, what happened was that a door was open, they would leave, and then they would see a bowl of food and they could eat. And what they saw, and you can see here, was that after around 30 trials, they were, how do you think, much faster or slower? Faster, because they associated, okay, when I press this lever, what comes next is freedom and food, which was something that they enjoyed. And so the conclusion that they arrived was that behaviors that are followed by positive outcomes are more likely to be repeated. And the opposite. Like if I try the food and it's not good, then I know that next time I probably won't eat that type of food. This is how our brain works. If it's something that keeps being reinforced, if I like the result, then I'm much more likely to do that again. And we come again to our habit loop. Because if we have, do you remember the 4 different stages? We had the cue, then we had the craving, okay, the desire to have it, then we had the response, that was the action itself, and then in the end, we have the reward. And what we will see is that if any of these 4 points fails, we won't do it. So what we want to be sure is that we go through, that we have something in this the creation of this tiny habit that will help us to be engaged so that we can keep repeating the cycle. Here you have an example. So I'm bored, I'm working or studying, I want to have a break. So I decide, for example, or to go for a walk or to listen to a podcast, and then I have my reward. I was able to take a break, but at the same time it was not something that was harming. And now we are going actually into the different steps. For creating a good habit, so we saw the first one, we have the cue. We want to make it obvious. So what created the desire to eat? I saw the food, okay? Then we have the craving. We want to make it attractive because if I don't like it, most likely I won't repeat it. Then we have to make it easy because if we try to do something really big from the beginning, we won't commit to it. It's too hard. It will require too much energy. And then we have the reward. We need to make it satisfying. And the exact opposite is also true. If there is a bad habit that I want to break, then I need to hide the cue. I need to make it invisible. I need to make it unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. Okay, so for the cue, the first law, we want to make it obvious. And for this, it really depends on what you want to do, but there are two strategies that you can use. You can use the implementation intention, that is, I will do a certain behavior at a certain time in a certain location. Okay, so for example, I want to start exercising at, I don't know what time that is best for me, in a specific place. Because if you don't specify everything, you won't do it. Something will happen. If it's not a specific schedule, it won't work. But then you also have habit stacking. This is the one that works best for me personally, because my schedule is not always the same, but there are things that I always do every day in the same sequence. So for example, some time ago I decided that I wanted to doing exercise again more consistently. This is what I decided to do. If there's something that I already do every single day, then I will attach the new habit. So for example, in my personal case, I'm a Christian, I read my Bible and I pray every morning. And then I used to have breakfast. Because I do these things in a sequence, what I decided was, after reading and praying, I'm going to do my exercise and then I'm going to have breakfast. So I attach to habits that already take place because it's easier. If I already do this every day, then I just glue the new habit to that one. And that way it's much easier to do it. Second law, make it attractive. This is a study that I was talking a while ago, several years ago in 1954. Odds and Milner made an experiment with rats. And this is where they actually discovered the role of dopamine. So what they did was they implanted some electrodes in the brain of the rats in the place where dopamine is released, and they blocked dopamine to flow as it's supposed to do. And what do you think that happened to these rats? They died. So whoever tells you that dopamine, we don't need it, we need to completely, no, we need dopamine, because what happened was that they had no cue, they had no craving, they had desire for anything. So they stopped eating, they stopped having sex, they stopped everything until the point where they died of thirst. Because there was no desire even to drink water, they couldn't feel the need, they died. And this is something that is important because it helps us to understand that if we don't also experience pleasure while we are doing things, we won't do the habits or the actions or whatever. To help you with this, then you have this idea of also coupling to a good habit that you have. For example, after doing this specific habit, I will do the thing that I need, the new one that I want to introduce, and then I will do something that I enjoy. For example, in my case, I enjoy having breakfast. Breakfast is the biggest meal of my day, and I always have it. So I want to start doing exercise after waking up, reading, praying. I will do my exercise, and then I will have breakfast, and I will have a good breakfast. And here the point is, you want so much the thing that you are going to do next, that by coupling them, you will create the desire to do the thing that you need. So we'll come to the point of wanting, oh, I really want to do exercise today, because I know that afterwards I'll have a great breakfast. Third law, make it easy. And this is something that for us, usually we want to try the whole world. I want to start exercising 5 days a week, going an hour every day to the gym, and then it just won't happen. Here, what you want to do is to make it so small that you really cannot find an excuse not to do it. Imagine that someone has the goal to do 100 push-ups. You will be able to do it for a week, probably, but after that, you'll give up. But if you commit yourself to do 1 push-up every day after something that you already do every day, will you be able to stick with it? It's one thing. If you need to take care of the laundry, you don't need to take care of the whole thing. You can commit yourself to just fold 1 pair of socks. It's one thing. And why is this strategy so powerful? Because usually once you start doing it, you end up doing it a little bit longer. You don't want to force yourself, and here there is, okay, this is good for all the procrastinators out there, in which I include myself. There is the 2-minute rule, and it's exactly connected to this. If you are trying to create a new habit, your goal in the beginning is just, I'm going to do this for 2 minutes only. I'm going to start, I don't know, whatever your goal is, 2 minutes. And if you reach the end and you're like, I'm done, the 2 minutes are over, it's okay. You can stop doing, if you feel like you want to continue doing it, perfect, but don't force yourself, because then you enter that part of the cycle of, I really don't, it was too much. I'm not going to do that again. So you want to do it for 2 minutes, and then you can stop, you can continue as you wish. But like this, you start, and now what you're doing is you're telling your brain, you're going out of the limbic system mode, and you're going to the frontal lobe, and you're telling your brain, this is important, and we are going to continue going down this path. So we start strengthening the connections. And that, I know someone that wanted to start doing exercise, and what she would do is she would put on her workout clothes, She would go to the gym, she would walk for 5 minutes on the treadmill, and she went back home. And it was only this. And she did this, I don't know for how many weeks, until she was like, okay, I'm here already. I can do a little bit more. And then she started implementing, and now she has a very, very solid workout routine. But it's just if you want to walk more, you can just put on your running shoes. And then you just go outside, then you come back. Because there are days when we have a lot of strength, and you're like, I can do this and we can do hard things, but there are days when honestly we are on battery saving mode, and what we want to do is I want to keep it so simple, so easy, that even when I don't feel like doing it, I will do it because it's so small. And once the routine is established, then you can increase the difficulty, because you cannot optimize a habit that is not standardized. Again, you cannot improve something that doesn't exist. So first you want to create a habit. Your brain needs to know that you are going to do this every single day, even if it's small, and then you can start slowly improving. Many people ask, how long does it take to form a new habit? There are several studies that say that it ranges from 8 days to 256, which is almost a year. But the average is usually 60-something days. But actually the right question is not how long does it take to form a new habit, but how many times do I need to do it until it becomes a habit? Because imagine, if I went to the forest once and then a year goes by, how long does it take for this place to become? Never, because what would be necessary for it to become a clear path? Frequency. I need to go there again and again. And in the beginning, I can just go 2 or 3 meters. But after a while, I'm able to progress. So the question is, how many times? What we actually need is to repeat and repeat over and over again. And here we come to the law of least effort. That is, we naturally choose the path of least resistance. When I have 2 options, we naturally tend to gravitate to the one that requires less effort. And this is important to take into account because we also want to make our life easy. And here, if we want to make our good habits easy, then we also want to make the bad ones difficult. And here we want to find strategies to make so that our actions in the present prevent us from doing the wrong thing in the future. For this, you can use several strategies. For example, if you don't want to spend so much time on your social media, I know people that delete the apps for some time. I know someone that had a deadline that he kept postponing, but he came to a point where he was like, I really need to do this. He asked his personal assistant to change all the passwords of his accounts. And during the week, he had access to anything other than doing the thing that he needed to do. And on the weekend, she would reset them. He could enjoy his weekend. But then on Monday, everything was blocked again. So you can find the strategies that work for you, and sometimes having people to make you accountable, sharing your goals, or just keep asking me how things are going because I need some help. I see that alone things are not so easy. So this is also a strategy. And then we have the law of making it satisfying. Why to make it satisfying? We have seen that if it's not something that we enjoy doing, we want to do it. So here we can also couple something that makes it satisfying. We love short-term gratification, which means that I want the results of exercising, but I don't want to wait the amount of time that it takes. So I need to find something that keeps me motivated right now. For example, if I achieved my goal of exercising, I don't know how many times a week, and here we need to be careful not to conflict. If my purpose is to be healthy and exercising, my reward cannot be eating a bowl of ice cream or eating fast food, okay? Because then we are conflicting. But it can be, okay, I was able to manage to the end of this week to accomplish my goal of doing this, even if some days was very short, it's okay. I can book a massage, or I can go for a walk if it's something that I enjoy doing. Here we need to find something that will make the experience pleasant, because this is telling our brains, I enjoyed it, I'm going to do it again. Okay, and how can you keep tracking your progress? There are several ways. A good way to do it is by using trackers that you can have in paper. This is one that we are using because we realize that we are not sleeping properly, so we are currently doing a sleep challenge. And to be honest, this is good because it makes it obvious, it makes it attractive and satisfying. What I realized was that this helps us to keep ourselves honest, because most of the times we are much worse at things than we think that we are. I knew that my sleeping habits were bad, but once I started noting down the time that I'm going to sleep, the time that I wake up, I'm like, okay, this is much worse than I thought. And this gives us the urge. It also works as a cue and creates the craving that is, okay, this is really not good. I need to change this. So it creates in you also the motivation to start doing differently. And it's also rewarding because you can see your progress. Even in the days when you don't feel like doing the thing, when you see how far you've come, it also helps you to continue. For example, there was a study that was made with people that wanted to lose weight, and they had two groups, one that was tracking their weight and their habits, and another one that was not doing it. And the one that was doing the tracking was able to lose double the amount of the ones that were not tracking. The protocol was exactly the same, but because they were aware of how things were going and they could look at their own pace and how things were going for them, this made it easy to do. You can have it, there are several apps. You can also have it on paper. For me, it works better on paper. And here it's good that you do this right after you accomplish the habit. Otherwise, you will forget. The days when I don't do this right after waking up or when I'm about to sleep, those places are empty because then I forget and then I just don't remember. So do it right after. Okay, then what about the times when we miss it? I like this rule. It's very useful. Never miss twice. The fact that you were not able to do it because something happened doesn't mean that you need to keep going down that path, because then you are creating a habit that is opposite of the one that you want. Okay, yesterday I couldn't. There was something at home, at work. Okay, it happens. Don't beat yourself. Tomorrow we will do it again and we will do it better. It was shown the difference between athletes who are able to accomplish more are the ones that are able to go back faster to their routines. When they fail, the ones that are able to accomplish more are the ones that, okay, it went wrong, so just go back to it again. And I also, at a certain point, I was following up someone that had an addiction, and there was an advice that was given that was very, very, very good. That is, at your best, prepare for your worst. There are challenges that you can foresee. When you know that these challenging things are coming, what is your plan? Because you should have a plan. Otherwise, you'll just stick to your default. So what can I do in order to prevent me to go back to my old habits? To summarize, choose the right habits for you. If you want to start doing exercise, but you don't like a specific sport, don't do it. Choose something that gives you pleasure, because as we've seen, we need the pleasure in the cycle to be able to continue it. Choose something moderately difficult. You don't want to make it too difficult because you'll give up. But also you don't want to make it too easy because you'll get bored and you're not learning, you're not evolving. So something moderately difficult. And then surround yourself with people with similar goals and habits. I like this sentence a lot that says that it is by beholding that we become changed. There was some time ago I developed several food intolerances, and I enjoy cooking a lot. So my social media, I followed so many accounts with cooking recipes, things like that. But I had to unfollow them because most of the things I could not eat anymore because my body could not process it. Whenever I was looking at those, in me it was created the desire to eat it. So what we want to do is we want to make it easy to ourselves. If there are things that we know that we should not do, just try to remove yourself from people or environment that make you go down the path that you are avoiding. So surround yourself with people that have similar goals. If you want to exercise more, join a running club, people that have the same spirit. There was a study that was made, very interesting, regarding high performance. And the conclusion that they arrived was that when you are in the same room, you don't even need to be talking to them. But when you are in the same room with someone that is a high performer, your own performance increases by 15%. But if you are in the same room with a low performer, your performance decreases around 30%. So we are way more affected by bad habits and people that have bad habits than the good ones, okay? So just be mindful of the people that you surround yourself with, because we want to make it easy for ourselves, and this helps. And also reflect and review once in a while, see if this habit, if this system is still working for you or not. And if not, adjust, change. You want to be constantly improving. And this is the last experiment that I want to share with you, and then we finish. That is the rat park. This was a study that was made by a psychologist several years ago, and they had this experiment where they had rats in a cage, and they had two water bottles, one just with water and another one with water and a drug. It could be heroin or cocaine. They could press whatever they wanted, and which one do you think that they preferred? The one with the drug, obviously. So, and what do you think that happened once they pressed it and they drank it? Okay, they would feel good, and they would do what? They would just kept going. And then they would eventually be overdosed, addicted, and then they would die. And then they decided to change the experiment, and they created what they called a rat park. They had some toys to play, they had female and male, so they could interact, they could be with each other, they could play around, and at the same time, they had the two bottles. What do you think that was the outcome? Okay, some say drug, others say water. Okay, why?
They had connection, they had...
Exactly, because they had connections. And the conclusion that they arrived was that none of them died of overdose, and most of them started going to the only water bottle because their needs were being satisfied. And this is something that we need to understand. Whenever we have the craving for something, it's because there is something within us that is, there's like an empty space. There is something that is missing. And if I don't realize what that thing is, if I don't fill it with the right thing, I will just put something there to, fill the space. We don't like empty spaces. And this is why addictions are created and bad habits are created, because we need this component of interaction. And this study was then made also in a group of people that came from the Vietnam War, because the soldiers, there was also a big percentage of soldiers that were addicted to heroin and drug, and they were like, we're going to have an issue when the US troops come back to their places because they are highly addicted. We know how these addictions work. This is going to be an issue. But they decided to follow them up, and what they realized was that once they went back to their normal environments, to their families, to their homes, to their loved ones, only around 7% went back to having drugs again. And they didn't even went to treatment, because there are specific places where you can do the treatments to overcome the addiction. So what they realized, and I like this sentence a lot, is that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. The opposite of addiction is connection. So in the end, this is also the idea that I would like to leave with you. Sometimes we are struggling to overcome certain things, but when we are together, when we have people that are going the same direction as us, it's much easier to overcome. I just want to present to you that we are going to have a book club here for those that would like. We are starting in the beginning of June. And the idea is to read this book and to just discuss the chapters and go through it for those that would like. For me, it was very useful and it was good. And I think the invitation to present this workshop, because it was good to be reminded of some things that I needed to go back to do again. So if you would like to do it, this is a Google form where you can let us know what are the times that would work best for you, because we also want to adjust that. And in the end, if you can also answer some questions about this workshop to understand what is useful, what is not, if there are any other topics that you would like to hear from in the future, we would appreciate it very much. So, thank you.